Cowboys, Cardinals, under the lights in prime time. You gotta love that. The Dallas Cowboys looking for an opportunity to right the ship in their bye week. But first, there's one game that still stings. Welcome into Cowboys Rewind. I'm your host, Nicole Hutchison, and Voch Lombardi and Patrik Walker will be joining the show in just a couple of minutes. But you know the drill. We got to press that rewind button, of course, because the Dallas Cowboys are, of course, they have the common theme all season long. It's been inconsistency, whether that's the production on the field or the outcomes of their games. And it was exposed in Week 8 against the Denver Broncos. They allowed 44 points, turnovers, and got a subtle reminder that there's little room for no error for margin in this league.
Didn't really ever get it going. Having an opportunity right there in the first drive of getting down there in the red zone, being able to have a chance to put 7 up and settling for a field goal, that was the start of it.
We have talent. We have weapons. We've showed people we can play good run defense, and we can do those things. But yeah, you'd be crazy. I'd be lying to you if I said you don't get frustrated. You know, we're better than that. But we didn't play good today.
Right now, our identity is up and down. And that's not anything I'm proud of and not anything anybody in that locker room should be proud of on any side of the ball or the coaches.
Come into a tough place to play like this, you have to do a great job of having the discipline, and you got to score touchdowns in the red zone. Unfortunately, we did not do that. I thought the guys fought. I thought they battled. But at the end of the day, we did not coach or play well enough today to beat a good football team.
Talk about adjustments. What would that pertain to? Personnel, scheme?
A lot of things. I mean, quite honestly, a lot of things. You can't come off a game like yesterday and not expect there to be changes.
The Cowboys team, 1 minute they're up, and then the next minute they're down.
It was clearly our most incomplete game that we've played as a football team, really all 3 phases. And there will be changes, I can promise you that. No one is pleased, no one is happy with the way we performed yesterday. It's not acceptable, it's not good enough. That starts with me. Like I said, it's a 1-game season because we want to find a way to beat Arizona and go into the bye sitting here at 4-4-1.
The Dallas Cowboys 3-4-1 in the season, looking for an opportunity to get their 4th win of the year. But there's still questions that are piling on. Will Brian Schottenheimer find some answers come Monday against the Arizona Cardinals? That's up next.
Cowboys Rewind is brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back into Cowboys Rewind. Nicole Hutchison alongside the Voch Lombardi and the Patrik Walker. We've got some good stuff cooking up for you guys. Of course, no Cap. Cap, of course, is later in the show. But first, we still talk about this Cowboys defense. Of course, head coach Schottenheimer's talked about, he can't sleep at night after that loss to the Denver Broncos. All right.
None of us have got no sleep.
None of us have gotten no sleep because there's been a couple of words that have been thrown around. That's unacceptable. That's disappointing. There's lack of execution. So many words. But because there's a standard, right, for this Dallas Cowboys football team. Well, he was asked this week if the Cowboys team has played up to the standard. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, again, I think, number one, there's always reason to change, and there will be changes. I can promise you that. I can assure you that. Like I said, we've already had some of those meetings, and we've talked about those changes. We're in the mode right now of we got kind of a 1-game season, and I just say that because we got Arizona before the bye. And then really your bigger changes, Todd, are going to happen over the bye week when you get a chance to say, okay, now we're looking back at 9 games. Now we're looking back at, okay, what were those issues? Did we get those corrected? No, we need to do this. We need to do that. But, we always want guys competing, and you're going to see guys competing for playing time. And, we're dealing with some injuries at the safety position. And so you'll see guys stepping up, but no one is pleased. No one is happy with the way we performed yesterday. It's not acceptable. It's not good enough, and that starts with me. And so I would say that both the staff and the players are aware of that. The standard was not met. So now what do? Okay, well, you be solution-oriented, and the solutions are making adjustments to scheme and making changes potentially in personnel and giving this guy maybe a little bit more play time and all that.
All right, well, in my opinion, solution-oriented should happen on Monday against the Arizona Cardinals. My question to you guys is, what defensive change do you guys want to see against the Cardinals, Voch?
First and foremost, let me just say I love Shadi and the culture that he's built around here because I've seen nobody on offense say, hey, man, we doing our part. Nobody's on offense say, hey, man, we averaging 30, we the top 3 offense in the league. We need to. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's pointing fingers. Everybody's taking their good share of accountability. We need to score faster. We need to get there earlier. But just a small change that I would say, I would love for this Cowboys defense to be a little more aggressive. Pressure makes the world go round and around and around. And look, if you run this scheme, this system, Flus, where you're trying to run zone and make sure everything's safe and be conservative, make sure that you don't give up big plays. You're giving up big plays anyway, so you might as well be aggressive. If you give away 1 or 2 big plays, at least let's try to get a sack or maybe an interception on the back end of it.
I like it.
I'm right there with you, Voch. When you talk about pressure, the Cowboys need to get it. They're not getting it, and when they get it, they're not getting home more often than not, and that's just not going to cut it for this team that likes to run zone primarily. I would like to see guys being policed for penalties that are being made, right? You talk about competitive penalties. I'm a huge competitor, so I'm fine with competitive penalties, but pre-snap, unforgivable. Lining up in the neutral zone, unforgivable. Unsportsmanlike conduct penalties after the whistle is blown, unforgivable. You're putting yourself in bad situations that get worse and worse as the game goes on. So you heard Brian Schottenheimer says something about potentially, giving more guys playing time. Maybe that looks like Donovan Ezra-Roku getting more playing time. Maybe that looks like James Houston getting more playing time. But you got to get pressure off those edges because that's one of the reasons your run defense is taking a step back because teams are simply running at the edges now as opposed to at Kenny, Clark, and Oso Digizua and Solomon Thomas.
Hey, you got to get pressure. They only had 7 pressures over on Bo Nix last week against the Broncos. That's it. That's
yuck.
That's it. Not a recipe for success. Certainly not a recipe for success is a lack of production from that interior defensive line. How about Oso Digizua? We're going to break that down up next here on Cowboys Rewind.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, y'all know what time it is. Cap, no cap. I got excited there because we like to test these narratives around Cowboys Nation, right? It's the best part of the show. Patrik Walker and Voch Lombardi. Now, Oso Digizua signed a big deal this offseason, 4-year, $80 million and $58 guaranteed. But has he lived up to that expectation? That's some bread right there. Has he lived up to the expectations, though, in 2025? Well, let's see what the guys had to say.
You need to think about even more of Solomon Thomas. I know he kind of rotates with Oso Digizua, but I think Solomon Thomas is doing a much better job of being a more disruptive player than what Oso Digizua is being right now. We're all still kind of waiting.
Chief was right about Milton Williams. He's having a good year for New England.
Yeah.
Remember when you said instead of signing Oso, go with Milton Williams?
Go with Milton Williams.
That Vrabel defense. Well, that's disappointing. That's like three techniques in a row that the Cowboys have been like, here's our guy, Henry Milton, Tyrone Crawford. Nope. Yeah. More, and who knows? Half the season to go. What you desperately needed last night was for him to crash the party and get a little bit of pressure on Bo Nix.
They just did not. They did not win at any level. And like I say, even when you blitzed Bo Nix, he was 6 for 8, on completions and throwing when you pressured him. And then like we've learned also too, when Dallas brings pressure, the opposing quarterbacks are right about 73%. So that's a big issue as well.
All right, cap, no cap, Pat.
There's a button around the left side of the keyboard, caps lock. Okay. It's not that I completely disagree with Brian Broaddus there because the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, Oso Digizua does need to perform at a higher rate. That being said, Solomon Thomas is struggling. to a similar degree as Oso Odighizuwa. Then look at the past couple of games, Kenny Clark is struggling as well. And you ask yourself, well, how is it that a defensive interior that was excelling at stopping the run through the first 4 or 5-ish games suddenly is not? That's because teams have figured out you can run at the edges. And then when you do that, you're now stretching those guys laterally when they want to play downhill, the interior defensive lineman like Oso Odighizuwa. So you have to solve the issue on the edges with shoring that up in run defense, sealing those edges, but also pass rush. It all goes back to the fact that the ends are not producing at a high level and the defensive tackles are being made the scapegoat.
I just find something interesting. And, you know, we come on this show and we do our best to hold the players accountable, and we'll say names from time to time. Hey, Brother Flus, come on to the front of the class, man. Write this down. This would be on the test. I just find it quite odd that everybody on the defense playing a little weird. You know, you just look around. We've had guys that have had some success before. Guys like Dante Fowler, double-digit sack guy last year. All of a sudden, we don't get that same kind of feel. I was led to believe, and boy, Flus, I hope you listen, boy. I was led to believe that under Flus's system, that the 3-tech, that the under tackle would excel here. I'm not seeing those kinds of things, so I'm not, you know. Also, we would love to see you play a little better. But Brother Flus, there has to be something schematically that makes Osa play a little worse, Kenneth Clark play a little worse, Solomon play a little worse, Sam's playing a little worse. The whole team, the whole defense, pardon me because offense doing their job, the whole defense is playing just a smidge worse. I'm looking at Flus, and I hope that we can make some changes somewhere.
Church.
Yeah, and you know when you're in the locker rooms, you ask all these guys, they're taking accountability, but they also don't really know the answer to these issues. And when you ask Matt Eberflus, of course, we heard from him throughout the week. He was asked, well, do you feel like your players have understood the scheme? Have they gotten used to the scheme? And he said, I don't think that's the issue. So my question is to Pat, do you feel like it's scheme or personnel?
Oh, I'm going to call Capo and Eberflus.
Okay.
I'm calling Capo and Eberflus.
Big old baseball
cap.
cap.
Big old cap. One of those big, huge caps. Listen, at the end of the day, this is a situation where Eberflus came in and he's primarily a zone guy, okay? But the personnel he inherited is primarily man press, okay? So you're not going to convince me that square peg, round hole suddenly is not the issue. It's going to be the issue until further notice. So one thing is going to have to give or the other has to give. Eberflus showed some give in the ability to flex the week prior when he ran 48% man. By far the most that he had run, and they had great success against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. He took a step back in running that man coverage against the Denver Broncos for some reason, and they got trampled. Okay, so something's got to give, but that is absolutely an issue. So Flus, I am going to call cap on that one.
Hey, well, something's got to give. This defense has got to improve because they have a bye week, and that next stretch of the season does not get any easier. So while the defense tries to find the answers to their struggles, well, their offense as well is trying to find some answers for that performance they put on against the Denver Broncos. That's up next here on Cowboys Rewind.
No, I think, none of us have done good enough. I mean, coaches, players, head coach, none of us have done good enough. That's real. I mean, our scorecard is what it is, and that's not just, defensively, that's offensively. We're a football team that's 3-4-1. You can take the stats on offense and shove them up your ass. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, is what it is. We want to win, and people talk about, hey, MVP and this and that. Dak Prescott doesn't want to win MVP. He wants to win a Super Bowl, and that's what we want to win. And we're not there yet. We've not played that consistently well enough to certainly be in that discussion, but it doesn't mean the journey stops. It certainly doesn't stop. It just, you get more focused, you get more intentional, and we got to do it together.
You know what I love about head coach Brian Schottenheimer? He tells it like it is, because even though this is the best offense in the NFL right now, he ain't satisfied.
I want to hear
that. We should have played cap or no cap on that one. Dak say, hold on, dog.
Facts.
Watch your mouth. I would love to win the MVP. Right. He would just also love to win Super Bowl MVP and to be a Super Bowl champion. But don't be counting my money, dog.
Hey, stop screaming. It's all right, though. Head coach Schotty not satisfied about this offensive performance they put together against the Broncos last week. So How do they get things going, and how do they figure it out to get back on track?
Man, it is just so unfair to be like, well, the first thing that the Cowboys offense need to do to get better is for the Cowboys defense to not give up 30-some-odd points in 3 quarters. I was watching the ball game last night, Ravens, Dolphins, or what. I was like, damn, boy, I have no idea what it's like for the other team to have 14 points in the 3rd quarter. If the Cowboys can get to a point like that, boy, we are smiling. But shouts out to Schottenheimer. He's taking the accountability. He's not just, hey, what you hit me for? Right, Doughboy. He is taking all the shots. Now, what I do think he needs to do as a head coach, as an offensive dude, play caller, all this kind of stuff, we're fine. As a head coach, we need to bring it all in, go across the hall like the last administrator say, and like, hey, how can I help you here? What's going on here? He need to walk in the Jerry office too and be like, hey man, can we get some people in here that fix all, to make all this better? So I know this is an offensive segment, but I think your offense would be incredible if they weren't playing catch up the whole time.
I like that.
I tell you, the only issue I have with the Cowboys offense, and I can't stress this enough, the defense is the reason that this team is below 500. Facts. Point blank, period. They're the Ricky versus the Doughboy in this situation, right? So speaking to that point, I still want to see the Cowboys offense be what they are at home when they're on the road. They're only averaging 24 points, give or take, on the road, but they're averaging 41 plus points at home. They need to figure out what's in the recipe other than simply home field advantage that translates over to those road games, because they're going to have to be as great as possible every single week. Now, is it fair that they can't take a day off? They can't have a bad day at the office? No, it's not fair they can't have a bad day at the office. And yet that's the situation that they're in right now. So what I would say is take every one of those away games offensively and shove them up your mouth. I'm just talking about the Cowboys offense. Just fix it on the road. You got it figured out at home. So take that, handle the Cardinals, and when it's time to go to Las Vegas, figure some things out.
It's all right. I almost had a heart attack there.
Oh, no, we're not getting fired. We're not getting fired. But I must say,
not today, anyway.
But I must say, I was listening to Coach Adams talk a little bit, right? And I put on my thinking cap and my goggles, and he said something to the effect of, well, continuity is a thing that we need to all work on and get better. If we have one group on offense, the same offensive line, same wide receivers, quarterbacks, and running backs, then we can all know the same things without saying it. So when we're on the road, there's not such a need for communication and talking. As soon as Dak says one thing, 10 other guys know exactly what's happening here. But if you think about the Cowboys' road games, it's always been injuries. It's always been young guys on the offensive line. CeeDee Lamb has been out, so a new young wide receiver has to get incorporated now. I think Coach Adams is going to be so excited about his guys being healthy, everybody being on the same page. And then when we get to these loud environments, we ain't got to talk. We can just do signs to each other, and we'll be good to go.
That's a fair statement, and it's the first week since week 2 that this Cowboys starting all 5 offensive linemen are back together again with Cooper Beebe, of course, back at center. But, you talk about this offense. They've got some opportunities against this Arizona Cardinals secondary, but it ain't going to be easy. They got a guy over there, maybe his name is Buda Baker.
Yeah, Buda Baker.
Maybe a good guy.
He's a dude.
There. He's a dude. What challenge does he present in terms of coverage-wise, Voch?
Buda is very challenging because he's very mysterious. He's not a traditional safety where he's always going to be in one spot and he's covering that side. Buda Baker will line up as like a linebacker and then go play deep thirds or deep fourths or whatever. But I'm not too much worried about Buda Baker because we got 4, we got 3, we got 88, and then when they're not even worried about it all, we got 87. So I ain't tripping about it at all.
And you add Javonte Williams into this matter as well. So what makes Buda Baker so great at what he does is everything that you said, Voch. He is, in fact, Mysterio for the Marvel comic fans, right? Everything that he does is an illusion. You think that he's playing the line of scrimmage, he's going to drop back. You think that he's playing at the second level, he's going to come forward. He's left, he's right, he's up, he's down. He's a cheat code, right? But that being said, like Voch said, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got George Pickens, you got Jake Ferguson, you got Javonte Williams, and you presumably have your entire healthy offensive line as well. That should give Dak Prescott time to operate. Buda Baker, in my opinion, he's going to make a couple plays, but he won't be able to save the day against the onslaught that can be brought by the Cowboys.
Hey, you have this offensive line back. You've got some healthy pieces. Here, you got GP, you got CD, you got Javonte.
CC and BB Winans, you got everybody.
You got everybody on this offense. Hopefully the Cowboys can get the job done on Monday against the Arizona Cardinals. But we're wrapping up. Cowboys Rewind up next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today. And to watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. Cowboys Rewind was brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com.
We're wrapping things up here on Cowboys Rewind. I'm Nicole Hutchison, but first I've got my mic drop. I got something to say because it's the Cowboys matchup in Monday Night Football in prime time. We love prime time games, but that just means the pressure is a little bit higher. The spotlight on the pressure for the Dallas Cowboys is a little bit bigger. You talk about a Dallas Cowboys team that's 3-4-1 in the season, still halfway through the year looking for answers and trying to find that identity halfway through the season, especially after the Broncos team gave them a little bit of a reality check, right? Didn't like that there. But talk about a Cardinals team that is another test, right? Because they've lost some games that have been very close ball games. You need an offensive fast start, defensive side of the ball. You need to set the tone and maintain it, right? No missed tackles, no blown coverages, none of that. Play sound defense. It's Arizona Cowboys. Going to be a good one to watch in Monday Night Football.